Welcome to our special Sorceress CEO series, my friends. As we step into this new year together, I want to invite you into a journey that is both deeply practical and profoundly spiritual. A journey to reimagine how we do business as women entrepreneurs, weaving in principles of the sacred feminine. This 6-part series is designed to empower you around the themes that often challenge us the most: money, pricing, choosing a business model, delegating, marketing, defining your niche, and more. Each episode will offer clarity and actionable steps to create a business that aligns with your values, supports the life you want, and amplifies your impact in our troubled world. This isn't just about strategy, it's about reclaiming business as a spiritual practice, one where you root into your power, honor your intuition, and lead with your devotion to service and love. Over the next 6 weeks, I'll draw from over 2 decades of experience supporting thousands of women on their entrepreneurial paths, blending tried and true wisdom with fresh practices to help you stay relevant and inspired in 2025's ever-evolving landscape. So settle in, whether you're listening with your morning coffee, on a walk, or between client calls. I'm grateful you're here. Let's redefine what it means to be a Sorceress CEO and explore the sacred power of doing business in a way that's uniquely, authentically yours. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to Herself, a space for women to have deep conversations about the intersection between spiritual entrepreneurship and fulfilling your potential, so you can become the woman you truly are in every area of your life. After being in business for over 2 decades, I've learned, as you likely have too, that as you grow your business grows you in unexpected, often challenging, yet miraculous ways. Here, we'll talk about how to get out of your own way so you can grow a business that's abundant and sustainable while allowing you to be a force for good in the world. I'll give you simple, actionable strategies as well as wisdom and inspiration to help you root into your wholeness, lead from your values, and work in ways that feel deeply aligned so you can bring your true self into the world through your business and in every area of your life. Hello, beautiful women. Welcome to part 3 in our 6-part series on becoming a Sorceress CEO. And a Sorceress CEO is a woman who serves the sacred. She is guided by her intuition, in tune with her deepest heart. She's an empowered, self-led leader of her business, and everything that she does is in service of the greatest good of all. Now, can you imagine with me for a moment if we had more women like this, more women like us leading in the world, right? It would be a very different world. So this is powerful. This is important. And in part 1, we explored how to orient from your heart inside the world of your business and why we need to view our work as an essential part of our spiritual paths. In part 2, we delved into the power of intuition and how this is the voice of your highest self, which knows the clearest path to the right, perfect unfolding of not only your personal soul's potential, but also the greatest potential of your business, because your business has a highest self too. And ideally, you want to be partnering your highest self with the highest self of your business. And then that's really where the magic and the miracles start to happen. So today in part 3, we are talking all about business models. Now, this is a topic that I love. And I want to acknowledge from the start that it might seem kind of dry and boring, but when you delve into it, it's actually quite juicy. Now, while I'm a very, I would say, mystical person, I spend a lot of time in prayer. I spend a lot of time in quiet and my inner world, and I've devoted most of my adult life to a very rich spiritual practice. I'm also incredibly practical, and I do geek out on all things online business and finance. I love optimizing systems and workflows for the sake of more simplicity and ease, and I love infusing them with my creativity and with the vision from my highest self. So there's a lot that lives here at that intersection between spirit and matter, between vision and implementation. And this is the intersection that I really, really want to focus on more in our time together today. So your business model in particular is at the crux, at the hotspot of that intersection. And having greater clarity and intentionality around your business model can really change everything. So let me share a metaphor that might help this to make a little bit more sense. I invite you to think about the last time that you moved into a new home. First, I would imagine you started getting clear about where you wanted to live and what kind of home you wanted to live in for that season of your life. And maybe it was a house because you need ample storage and wanted a yard for your dog or your garden. You wanted a garage, some extra storage space. Or maybe it was an apartment or a condo. You're living in a more urban environment, or wanted to cut down on living expenses if you were in less of an urban environment and you wanted to sacrifice excess space just for lower cost of living and or the convenience of city living. One of the first homes I lived in when I moved to northern Thailand in my early 20s was a wooden home on stilts. It was a 2-room home, and there were chickens and roosters that used to run underneath it in the mornings. That was how I woke up. And it was very bare bones, and I celebrated the simplicity of living so close to the elements. I had gone to college in New York City, so this kind of immersion in nature was very invigorating for me. So your home provides the container, the structure within which your life will unfold. And the kind of container that you choose for that really determines a lot about the kind of life that you will live from there. And I want to say that no one structure is better than the other. They're all different. They each have their own benefits. They each have their own limitations. But the key is to really tune into what would serve you the best during this season of your life, given your current goals and your current resources. So now that we kind of have a sense of how this relates to something that we have all experienced a lot of, looking for a new home, I want us to bring that same way of thinking into how we choose to shape our businesses. And I want to highlight that word choose. Choose is the operative word here. So many of us, myself included, we step into our work by way of passion. It's something that we love. We want to offer it. And so we just jump in, both feet in, and we just do it. We don't necessarily have a plan. So for me, my entrepreneurial journey started out with teaching yoga. In my early 20s, I got my yoga teacher certification in 2001. And from there, I began to lead group classes. I went on to lead workshops, eventually retreats and teacher trainings, both in Thailand where I lived and also around the world. And this was throughout the early 2000s. I didn't give any thought to business per se or business models. I was just doing what I loved, and I was doing what I needed to do to pay my bills. And in fact, that was very easy for me. The cost of living in Thailand was very low. I was making good money. And it wasn't even necessarily really about the money. I was just doing what I loved. I was following the breadcrumbs, following my passions, saying yes to opportunities as they arose, creating opportunities for myself. And that was exhilarating. I learned a lot. I was very successful for where I was at that time. But starting at the age of 30, I moved back to the US. I was ready for a change. I wanted to be closer to home. My oldest sister was having her first child, and I wanted to be a part of his life. And since I had no desire to keep flying back and forth to Asia to teach, I really wanted to root my life and my work here on this side of the world. So that took quite a bit to be able to do that. And it was really at that time that I needed to start thinking about business in a more tangible, intentional way. And at that same time, I also wanted and needed to break through my existing income ceiling. And like I said, while I was making very good money in Thailand, given the low cost of living there, when I moved back to the US, I knew I needed to increase my income because my living costs had gone up exponentially with the move. So to help me with this, I hired my very first business coach. And it was through that relationship that I was introduced to this concept of a business model. And to break through to the next level of income, which for me at that time, I wanted to be 100K. I wanted to just meet that 6-figure mark. I needed to restructure the way that I worked. So teaching yoga classes, which interestingly enough was a lot more lucrative in Thailand than it was or is back here in the States. So just doing that wasn't going to cut it anymore. And like I said, I also didn't want to keep flying back and forth to Asia to lead my yoga teacher trainings, which were one of the main sources of my income at that time as well. So with the support of my coach, we re-envisioned the way that I worked. I started out by creating a couple of shorter online classes to get my feet wet in the world of teaching and selling online. And at that point, I was also doing private sessions. I was also teaching some in-person workshops and yoga classes in town. And so I was kind of piecing a lot of different things together as I was finding my footing here in the States. And then as I started to get more proficient with teaching and selling online, I then created a membership program called the Red Tent. And the Red Tent was $97 a month, or I think it was like $970 for the year if you wanted to pay in full. And that was the first time that I had a really refined offer that I repeated for many years and that created a reliable, consistent monthly income. And that let me let go of a bunch of these other smaller things that I was doing. So it really simplified and centralized things. And this program grew in such a way that I started working with larger groups of people than ever before. And the biggest I think that community got was around 120 women. So I could do one bigger kind of 6-figure launch for that program once a year. And that provided my financial foundation for the year, both personally and professionally. And then in the rest of the months, I could offer smaller programs if they were retreats or workshops or a smaller online course, some one-on-one work. And I also had a higher ticket certification program. And all of these things kind of worked together in a cohesive ecosystem, creating my business model. And that was a business model that I had for many years, and it served me very well. And some of you listening may have been a part of that business model. And I thank you for that. It was a lot of really wonderful memories that we shared together. And now that I'm in my late 40s, I have felt a calling from my depths to shift my business model again to the one that I have been building for the past few years. So rather than teaching to a lot of people at once for a lower dollar amount, I have felt the desire to work more intimately with a smaller group of women for a higher ticket amount. So now my core program, it's a year-long IFS mastermind and mentorship circle for spiritual women entrepreneurs. It's called Sorceress CEO. This is $10,000 a year, or a little bit less than $1,000 a month. It's $950 a month. And it's not designed for hundreds of women to go through it. It's specifically designed for a smaller group of women so we can keep things really intimate and personalized and customized, helping each woman to create and grow the business that is right for her. And then I see a couple of one-on-one clients at a time, very sparingly, just the right kind of women. Again, these are higher ticket offerings, really high touch offerings. I offer some retreats, and I have a shorter 6-week program called Sorceress School that I offer once a year. And it took me time to really both envision this business model and kind of like Michelangelo when he was sculpting something out of a piece of marble, he would like see the big piece of marble and kind of sense what wanted to emerge from that. So it took me some time to really sense, okay, what wants to emerge here? And then this business model at a certain point in that process really clicked into view. And I love the simplicity of it. I love how it allows me to really offer my expertise to a smaller group of highly motivated and committed women entrepreneurs. I only want to work with people who are ready to roll up their sleeves and do the work, because it takes something to really create these businesses, to lead these businesses. Women who are ready to meet me halfway, because I show up fully and I only want to work with other women who are willing and excited to do the same. And I also selected this business model knowing the season of life that I'm in. I'm in perimenopause now and very intentionally moving towards my fuller menopausal transition whenever that happens. And my own mentors along the way have strongly encouraged me to set things up for myself, both in my business and in my personal life as well as I can. So I have more space and simplicity when I go through menopause. And even now, so that I can really practice my self-care in a deeper way, because it's just feels more essential now than ever before. Even just like the littlest thing can throw my system off. And so this has really been at the forefront of my mind, creating something as well that provides for me consistently financially, that really lights me up, that creates a big positive ripple effect in the world. So I'm supporting women leaders, and then these women leaders are going out and supporting their audiences. And it also allows me to learn and grow and to help other women entrepreneurs to do the same and not be teaching the same stuff that I was teaching in my 20s or 30s. And also a business model that gives me spaciousness. And this year in 2025, I am taking a total throughout the whole year of over 3 months off. One whole season off this year. So this is a record for me. And I share with you some of the business models that I've used over the years. Some, again, I just found myself in. And as I've evolved as a business owner, others I've intentionally designed. And this is to give you some frame of reference and hopefully some inspiration for how to think about your own business model. As you look back on your career, or if you're just starting out, what is your business model, or what has your business model been? A common one for many of the women who come to work with me is one-on-one sessions. And they're wanting to expand to teach more one-to-many. And one-to-one is a great place to start out. And it's a great place to validate an idea, to validate your offer. I often have women start out with like a higher ticket one-on-one package, and to get that validated with at least 10 people going through it. And then from there, we can start to shape that into some sort of a group experience. Because the limitation with one-on-one sessions, while again, in the beginning, it's super helpful because it really helps you to get to know your ideal client, what they're struggling with, how you can best support them. But in that one-on-one container, you're always trading hours for dollars, and it's much harder to take time off because when you do, you're not getting paid. So when I was working more in that business model, before I was taking time off, I would just be like working around the clock, trying to squeeze as many clients in as I could so that I could either make up for the income I was going to be missing out when I took time off, or just get as much in as I could. But when you create an online course or a membership program or other digital products, or ideally a suite of these things, it helps to shift that. It helps to give you more time freedom and flexibility. And while I don't think there's any such thing as passive income, because we have to put work in order to get money out, there is a recurring income. And these things, they might take, or they do take more effort up front. But as you start to get them going, they do give you more freedom and more flexibility. It's also important to remember that bigger leaps in your earning potential and impact also come when you intentionally choose and then build out a business model. And when I was just flying by the seat of my pants in my 20s, I learned a lot. I had a lot of fun. I was successful according to many measures. But to really go to the next level in my 30s, I needed to bring in more structure. And the same is true now in my 40s, and I'm bringing in creating more systems in my business. Now I'm all about creating the systems using a lot of AI, really just bringing the resources in that I need to for more simplicity and spaciousness. So, how do you go about intentionally shaping your business model? One thing to think about is to first root into Stephen Covey's teachings from his seminal book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he says to begin with the end in mind. And when women join my Sorceress CEO mastermind, this is one of the first things that we do. We begin with the end in mind, and everything else unfolds from there. So, what kind of life do you want to live? In what ways do you want to be working with people? How can you get paid well to do what you love? So taking time to ask yourself these bigger questions and then reverse engineer from there and see, okay, well, what kind of structure professionally, financially, do you need to put in place to make this happen? Is it one-on-ones? Is it a group program, low ticket, high volume? Or is it low volume, high ticket? And to be honest, I often find the latter is more feasible for many women, although it does take a lot of clear preparation and building for it to be effective. Or do you sell products? If so, is there a subscription program for those? Do you mainly lead retreats? Do you want to stay with more high ticket one-on-one packages or a combination of these things? So as we close today's conversation, I want to leave you with 3 actionable steps to start shaping or refining your business model with more intention. So the first of these action steps is to reflect on your current season of life, to ask yourself, what do I need most right now? Is it spaciousness? Is it financial stability, greater reach or deeper connections? Also consider your energy, your goals, your personal experiences like perimenopause or family obligations, and how your business model can support these things. Number 2, define your ideal vision. So again, think about Stephen Covey's principle, begin with the end in mind, and then journal or brainstorm answers to these questions. What kind of a life do I want to live? How do I want to work with people? What income do I want to generate? And what impact do I want to have? And then step 3 is to map your path forward. Reverse engineer your vision into tangible steps. So if you're starting out, validate your idea with one-on-one offerings or a pilot program. If you're scaling, consider whether a group program, a membership, or a course might be the next step. If you're transitioning, evaluate how your current model aligns with your evolving goals and needs, and then sketch out a timeline for implementing these changes. And for anyone feeling stuck or unsure about where to begin, remember this: your business model is not permanent. It can and it should evolve as you do. That's why I like to use the word shaping. It's like with clay, you get to shape this, you get to sculpt this. Start with what feels aligned now and trust that clarity will come with action. So if you'd like support in diving deeper into designing a business model that truly aligns with your highest self during this season of your life, I invite you to join me in my upcoming free 3-day workshop for spiritual women entrepreneurs. This is an IFS-based business training, and it's called Step Into Your Sorceress CEO. It's happening live from February 4th to 6th. And yes, while you will get the most out of this if you come live, because a lot of it is also the community experience, you will get a replay if you can't join us live. And in this, I'll be sharing with you my unique 3-part framework to help you in creating and growing your dream business from your highest self without burning out, without betraying your values, without getting in your own way. So you can learn more and save your free seat at programs-sarahavonstover.com/workshop. That's programs-sarahavonstover.com/workshop. You can also find the link in the show notes, programs-sarahavonstover.com/workshop. sarahavaughnstover.com/workshop. So together, let's co-create the structure that supports the life and impact you most desire. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next week for part 4 in our Sorceress CEO series. Thank you for joining me today. And remember, change doesn't come from listening alone. I invite you to commit to taking one small or large courageous action after today's conversation. One step you can take, if you haven't already, is to sign up for my Sunday journal. It's a weekly newsletter filled with inspiration and reflections about the intersection between spiritual entrepreneurship and fulfilling your potential to help you become the woman you truly are in every area of your life. You can subscribe at programs-sarahavaughnstover.com/journal. And if you found this podcast valuable, please share it with the women in your world. Also, I'd be very grateful if you'd leave a review. It helps others find resources like this, and I'd love to hear what's coming alive for you after listening today. Above all, keep going, and never forget the unique offerings you and your true self bring to the world. Until next time, I'm sending you my heartfelt support.